I live by a simple rule. When you're delivering files to the Ice Queen CEO and you stumble upon a company-shattering secret, you lean into it. Especially when that secret involves a photo on her desk, and the man in that photo is my own goofy, embarrassing dad. Looking at the CEO's face, a face that could give frostbite to a polar bear, I had a moment of clarity. For the sake of my dad's golden years, and more importantly, for my future status in this family, there was only one path forward. That word, Mom, I was going to say it today, and I was going to mean it. My name is Ethan Hayes, and I'm a completely unremarkable intern. Our company isn't famous for its stock price or its products. It's famous for my boss, Sophia Blackwood. They call her the Ice Queen. She's about 5'9", and though her weight is a mystery, I'd bet my meager paycheck it's not a pound over 120. She lives in a uniform of custom tailor power suits, walks like she's creating her own personal windstorm, and has a gaze so cold it drops the ambient temperature by a good 10 degrees. Legend has it that if she ever smiled, the stone gargoyles on the building across the street would crumble. The problem is, in the 3 months I've worked here, I've never seen her smile. Today was not my lucky day. My department head, Tyler, snagged me to run an urgent document up to the Queen herself. My palms were sweating as I held the thin file, feeling like I was about to hand-deliver a death warrant to the Grim Reaper. Deep breath. Another one. I knocked on the door to the executive suite. Enter. The voice was crisp, utterly devoid of warmth. Exactly as I'd imagined. I pushed open the heavy oak door and crept inside. The office was massive, decorated in a style I'd call brutalist chic. The air smelled faintly of a perfume that cost more than my rent, and something else. Money. It smelled like money. Sophia Blackwood was at her huge desk, head down, focused on a document. She didn't even look up. Ms. Blackwood, here's the quarterly report you requested. I placed the file gently on the corner of her desk, holding my breath, preparing for a tactical retreat. But as I turned to leave, something caught my eye. Tucked in a corner of the desk was an elegant silver picture frame. In this world of cold chrome and black leather, it stuck out. What stuck out even more was the photo inside. A man in a sharp, tailored suit stood with his hair slicked back, one hand in his pocket, the other resting on a young woman's shoulder. He was smiling a brilliant, dazzling smile full of teeth, so white they could be a dental ad. The young woman, of course, was a younger Sophia Blackwood. Her expression was still neutral, but her eyes seemed softer. But the man, my pupils dilated. My breathing hitched. I rubbed my eyes, leaned in a little closer, then a little closer still. There was no mistake. I'd know that face if it were carved into a potato. It was my dad, Robert Hayes, the same guy who, at this very moment, was probably at home in a yellowed tank top and flip-flops, scratching his leg while yelling at the TV during reruns of old cop shows. Sure, the guy in the photo was cleaned up beyond recognition, oozing a kind of confident charm. But that smirk, that faux deep look in his eyes, that barely concealed I'm the handsomest guy in the room vibe. It was the exact same look he got before heading to the community center for his weekly line dancing showdown. My brain fizzled, then went completely blank. What was happening? How did my dad, a retired 50-something man whose greatest ambition was to outdance Brenda from next door, end up in a personal photo on the Ice Queen's desk? And why did they look so close? An idea, like a bolt of lightning, split my reality in two. My dad, was he back on the market? And not just on the market, but dating our multi-millionaire CEO, a woman who was a few years younger than me? A blockbuster drama, The Billionaire and the Boomer, started playing on a loop in my head. I could already see it. My dad in a tuxedo, Sophia Blackwood in a wedding gown, and me, the groom's son, sitting in the front pew, weeping with joy. Confusion? Have you seen enough? An icy voice snapped me back from my daydream. I jolted, looking up. Sophia had raised her head, and her sharp, almond-shaped eyes were locked on me. They held a mix of curiosity and deep annoyance. The blood rushed my head. My face felt hot enough to fry an egg. Busted. I was busted staring at the boss's private photo. I'm sorry, Ms. Blackwood. I didn't mean to. I thought. I was rambling, my brain turning to mush. Thought what? That my future stepmom is gorgeous? That my dad is really punching above his weight? You thought what? She pressed, leaning forward slightly, her presence filling the room and sucking out all the air. My brain, in a moment of pure survival instinct, spat out the first thing it could think of. I thought that gentleman looks incredibly charismatic, a true leader, a titan of industry. When in doubt, flatter. Sophia's expression flickered. For a split second, I thought I saw the corner of her mouth twitch upwards, but it was gone so fast I might have imagined it. Is that so? She said flatly, her gaze dropping back to her work. You may go. Yes, ma'am. Of course. Granted a full pardon, I practically scrambled out of the office. My heart was still hammering against my ribs when I collapsed back at my desk. I sat there, gasping for air, but my mind was racing. Something was off here. Very off. I pulled out my phone and shot a text to my dad. Hey, Bob, what are you up to? A few minutes later, he replied with a picture. It was him wearing the Senior Strider tracksuit I'd bought him for Christmas, stretching his leg on a piece of park equipment in a pose that was both awkward and deeply self-satisfied. The caption read, "Staying fit for Uncle Sam." I looked at the picture, then thought back to the suave man in the suit on Sophia's desk. The disconnect was staggering. Was my dad living a double life? Was he secretly a business mogul who just pretended to be a retired guy? And in his spare time, he was carrying on a whirlwind romance with my boss. The more I thought about it, the more it seemed possible. How else could you explain that photo? Or Sophia's weirdly non-committal reaction? Then a deeper question surfaced. If they were really together, wouldn't that make Sophia Blackwood my stepmom? Me, Ethan Hayes, humble in turn, suddenly the stepson of the CEO? I could waltz into work whenever I wanted. Late? No problem. Slacking off to play games on my phone? Just another Tuesday. Finally telling off my micromanaging boss, Tyler Vance? An absolute necessity. The thought of pointing at Tyler's perpetually constipated face and saying, "My mom is Sophia Blackwood," was so beautiful it almost made me laugh out loud. Okay, calm down. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. What if it was just an old photo? Maybe Sophia looked up to my dad as some kind of mentor or idol. He was a handsome guy in his day, but idol-worthy? I doubted it. I decided to test my theory. I opened my texts, pulled up my dad's contact, took a deep breath, and typed, "Dad, do you know a woman named Sophia Blackwood?" I hit send. The seconds ticked by like hours. My heart was in my throat. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A 3-word reply. Don't know her. It was followed by a sunglasses-wearing emoji. Seeing those words didn't calm me down. It did the opposite. It confirmed everything. He was totally lying. If he really didn't know her, my dad would have hit me with a dozen questions. Who's that? Why are you asking? Is she single? This short, sharp denial? It screamed guilt. They were definitely hiding something. Something big. I got it. I saw the whole picture. My dad was afraid I wouldn't approve. He was worried I couldn't handle having a stepmom younger than me. And Sophia, with her reputation and position, couldn't make their relationship public yet. Their love must be so difficult. And me? As Robert Hayes's only son, how could I let my father's happiness be shackled by society's expectations? How could I be a roadblock on their path to love? I wouldn't just approve. I would champion this. I would be their biggest supporter. I had to clear the way for my dad's happiness. And for my own future, cushy job security. My expression hardened with resolve. A grand plan began to form in my mind. Sophia Blackwood, my dear future stepmom, don't you worry. From this day forward, I am your most loyal soldier, your most devoted. Well, stepson, I stroked my chin, a sly grin spreading across my face. Phase 1. Win her over through her stomach. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I woke up at 7 a.m. Not to make breakfast, of course. I'm not a monster. I opened up DoorDash, found the highest-rated organic cafe, and ordered a nourishing ginger turmeric millet porridge. In the special instructions, I typed, "Extra honey, use the expensive kind." Then I found a sticky note, and in my best handwriting, wrote a message. "Mom, no matter how busy you are, you have to take care of yourself. Love, your son, Ethan." I admired my handiwork, nodding in satisfaction. Heartfelt, moving. The word mom made my hand cramp a little, but I figured I'd get used to it. Carrying this heavy burden of filial piety, I strode into the office like a conquering hero. On my way past the break room, I ran into Linda from accounting, the office's #1 gossip. Her eyes lit up when she saw the thermos in my hand. "Well now, Ethan, bringing a special breakfast for your girlfriend? I didn't know you had it in you." I just gave her a mysterious smile, neither confirming nor denying. Just being a considerate person, Linda, nothing wrong with that. I had to maintain the mystique. I couldn't let the secret of my relationship with the CEO get out. It might cause her unnecessary trouble. I carried the thermos through a gauntlet of curious stares until I reached the door of the executive suite. This time, I didn't even knock. We were family now. Why stand on ceremony? Sophia was at her desk, nursing a cup of black coffee, a slight frown on her face. My heart ached seeing that. Who drinks black coffee first thing in the morning? It's terrible for your stomach. I charged forward, snatched the coffee cup from her hand without a word, and set it aside. Mom, you're drinking this again? Didn't the doctor say your stomach is sensitive? You have to cut back on this stuff. My voice was loud, full of a son's loving concern and gentle scolding. The air in the office froze solid. Sophia's hand was still hovering in the air where her coffee cup had been. For the first time, a crack appeared in her icy facade. She slowly, inch by inch, turned her head to look at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. What? Did you just call me? Her voice was trembling. Yes, it was working. My sudden display of affection had clearly moved her. I slammed the thermos down on her desk with a satisfying thud and enthusiastically twisted off the lid. The sweet, warm scent of the porridge filled the air. Mom, don't just sit there. Eat it while it's hot. I bought it. I made it for you. Woke up at the crack of dawn. I pushed a spoon into her hand and, for good measure, peeled my sticky note off the thermos and slapped it right onto her computer monitor. See, I even wrote you a little note. Sophia's gaze drifted from my face to the thermos and finally to the sticky note that read, Mom, take care of yourself. An earthquake seemed to ripple through her pupils. Her lips parted slightly, as if she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Seeing her so overwhelmed with emotion that she was speechless, I felt a surge of pride. See, even the Ice Queen herself could be melted by the warmth of a loving family. Mom, don't get too emotional. It's just what a son should do. From now on, I've got your breakfast covered, I declared, puffing out my chest. Ethan, Hayes. Sophia finally managed to squeeze my name through her clenched teeth. Her voice was even colder than yesterday, like a wind straight from the Siberian tundra. Yep, that's me, Mom. I chirped back happily. Just then, there was a knock on the door. My department manager, Tyler Vance, waltzed in, holding a ridiculously large bouquet of red roses. Tyler was the office slimeball. He was slick, smug, and used his minor authority to hit on every woman in a 5-mile radius, with Sophia being his primary target. Not that she ever gave him the time of day. He saw me, then glanced at the porridge on the desk, a sneer spreading across his face. Well, if it isn't the intern. What's this, Ethan? Realized you can't get by on talent, so you're trying other methods? You think a bowl of cheap oatmeal is going to win over Ms. Blackwood? Talk about delusional. He shoved the bouquet onto her desk, pushing my thermos aside. Sophia, my dear, these are long-stemmed roses, flown in fresh this morning, a symbol of my burning passion for you. Unlike some people who try to impress you with garbage from a corner deli. That did it. My blood started to boil. Who are you calling delusional? You're the one who's delusional. And how dare you try to flirt with my stepmom right in front of me? Did he have a death wish? I was about to let him have it, but Sophia spoke first. She didn't even glance at the roses. Her eyes were still locked on me, or more specifically, on the sticky note on her monitor. Mr. Vance. Her voice was dangerously calm. Take your flowers and get out. The smug smile on Tyler's face froze. Sophia, Furthermore, Sophia continued, finally shifting her gaze to him, effective immediately. Ethan Hayes is being transferred to the executive office as my personal assistant. What? Both Tyler and I yelled at the same time. Tyler's voice was full of shock and jealousy. Mine was pure, unadulterated joy. Personal assistant. That was like being the king's most trusted advisor. What did this mean? It meant my filial piety had been recognized. I had successfully infiltrated the family's inner circle. Ms. Blackwood, that's against protocol. He's just an intern. On what grounds? Tyler sputtered. Are you questioning my decision? Sophia shot him a look so cold it could freeze lava. Tyler snapped his mouth shut. His face turned the color of a plum as he miserably gathered his roses and slunk out of the office. Once again, it was just the two of us family members in the room. I looked at Sophia excitedly, rubbing my hands together. Mom, thank you. I promise I'll work hard and be a good son to you. Sophia ignored me. She slowly stood up and walked around the desk until she was standing right in front of me. She was a few inches taller than me, and her powerful aura made it a little hard to breathe. I thought she was going to give me a hug, a little celebration of our newly solidified mother-son bond. Instead, she reached out with two slender fingers and gently, so gently, peeled the sticky note off her monitor. Then, she walked over to the trash can and let it go. The note, the physical manifestation of my devotion, fluttered down into the darkness. After that, she returned to her chair, picked up the still steaming bowl of porridge, and began to eat it, spoon by silent spoon, her face a perfect, unreadable mask. All the while, she stared at me with those cold eyes. I started to feel a little unnerved. What did this mean? Did she think my handwriting was ugly? Or was she trying to tell me to be more discreet? As I was trying to decipher her silent message, she finished the last spoonful, set the bowl down, and delicately wiped her mouth with a napkin. Ethan, yes, Mom. From this day forward, you are not to use that form of address again without my permission. Which form of address? I asked, playing dumb. What do you think? Her eyes were like daggers. Oh, I get it. She wants to keep this an underground relationship. Of course. She's the CEO, my dad is her boyfriend. If I ran around the office calling her mom all day, it would look bad. I nodded sagely. I understand completely. M.O., I'm Ms. Blackwood. I'll call you Ms. Blackwood at the office. And say, Mom, for when we're in private. A vein in Sophia's temple pulsed. She closed her eyes and took a very, very deep breath, as if she were trying to physically restrain a primal scream. When she opened them again, her expression was once again placid. Go to HR and process your transfer. Then, inform scheduling that Tyler Vance will be working the night shift for the next month. You got it. I bounced out of the office, filled with a new sense of purpose. Don't you worry, Mom. Anyone who tries to steal your man is going to be spending the rest of his life working graveyard shifts. Becoming Ms. Blackwood's personal assistant was a game changer. First, I got my own desk right outside her office. It was prime real estate, giving me a perfect vantage point to monitor my mother's every mood. Second, my salary tripled and my internship was converted to a full-time position overnight, making me the subject of intense envy among the company's veterans. But most importantly, I could now dote on her openly under the guise of work. Sophia's schedule was brutal. From dawn till dusk, it was a nonstop parade of meetings and reports. The woman was a machine. It pained me to see it. She was obviously working this hard to save up and give my dad the wedding he deserved. As her son, it was my duty to help. That afternoon, there was a high-level strategy meeting. The enormous conference room was filled with the company's top brass, the atmosphere so tense you could hear a pin drop. Sophia was at the head of the table, presenting a slideshow. As her assistant, I sat beside her, tasked with taking notes and keeping her water glass full. Halfway through, I noticed Sophia looked a little pale. She kept rubbing her arms. My heart clenched. The air conditioning. They had it blasting in here. She was freezing. This was unacceptable. My future stepmom's health was a top priority. I quietly got up and crept over to the thermostat on the wall. I glanced at the setting. 65 degrees. These old guys with their layers of insulation had no consideration for my boss's delicate constitution. Without a moment's hesitation, I grabbed the remote, pointed it at the unit, and went to town, cranking the temperature from 65 all the way up to 86. For good measure, I also set the fan to maximum. A blast of hot air surged through the room. A few of the vice presidents who had been dozing off were instantly jolted awake. They all looked around, confused. Sophia paused her presentation, glancing up at the air vent with a puzzled expression. I slipped back into my seat as if nothing had happened, shooting her a look that said, "Don't thank me, Mom. I'm just doing my job." The corner of her mouth twitched. The meeting continued, but the atmosphere grew increasingly agitated. Within 10 minutes, the executives, once crisp in their suits, were sweating profusely, their faces flushed. The CFO, a portly, bald man, was the first to crack. He loosened his tie and unbuttoned his collar. One by one, the others followed, shedding jackets and rolling up sleeves until they looked less like a corporate board and more like a bunch of guys in a sauna. Only two people remained composed, me and Sophia. She was probably too concerned with maintaining her authority to move, and I was sustained by the cool, calm satisfaction of a job well done. Seeing these high and mighty executives melting like wax figures brought me immense joy. That's what you get for not taking care of my mom. I discreetly passed her a cup of hot water. She glanced at me, her expression so complex I couldn't begin to decipher it. Finally, the VP of sales, a notoriously hot-headed man, couldn't take it anymore. "Who the hell turned the heat on? Are you trying to cook us alive in here?" he bellowed, fanning himself with a stack of papers. Every head in the room swiveled in my direction. I was, after all, the only one still fully dressed in a suit and looking perfectly comfortable. I was about to clear my throat and deliver a moving speech on the importance of caring for one's superiors when Sophia suddenly spoke. "My apologies, everyone." She stood and gave a slight bow. "I haven't been feeling well lately, and I've been sensitive to the cold, so I asked Ethan to raise the temperature. I'm sorry it's disrupted the meeting." Wow, a wave of warmth washed over me. My mom. She was taking the fall for me. She was protecting me. This was the power of motherly love. It was magnificent. Hearing that it was the CEO's request, the executive's attitudes did a complete 180. "Oh, Ms. Blackwood, don't say that. Your health is the most important thing. We should have been more considerate. Please, take care of yourself. Ethan, good job. From now on, if Ms. Blackwood feels cold, you turn that heat up." I puffed out my chest, feeling like a knight who had successfully defended his queen. In the corner, Tyler Vance's face was a mask of purple rage. He wanted to object, but he didn't dare contradict the entire executive team. It was beautiful. After the meeting limped to a conclusion, I followed Sophia back to her office. "Mom, you were incredible back there," I gushed. "Don't you worry. I'll never let anyone make you feel cold again." Sophia didn't say anything. She walked to her desk, picked up her phone, and dialed an extension. "Maintenance. This is Sophia Blackwood. I want the thermostat in the executive conference room removed. From now on, temperature will be controlled manually by your department." She hung up with a sharp click. Then she turned to me. "Ethan," she said, her voice flat, "you've lost your bonus for this month." "Huh? Why?" "I was just trying to help." I looked at her, my face a mask of wounded confusion. She must have read my mind, because she sighed, and her tone softened almost imperceptibly. "I wasn't cold. I just had too much coffee this morning. It gave me heart palpitations." She paused, then added, "And that cup of hot water was the only thing that made me feel warm today." Before I could process that, she turned her back to me. I stood there, stunned. The first part went over my head, but I definitely understood the second part. The only thing that made me feel warm. She was complimenting me. So what if I lost my bonus? I had earned my mother's approval. It was totally worth it. My fighting spirit was instantly restored. Just then, Tyler Vance burst into the office, his face red with fury. "Ms. Blackwood, I want to file a formal complaint against Ethan Hayes," he yelled, pointing a trembling finger at me. He abused his position during work hours to harass a superior and willfully destroyed company property, the thermostat. His behavior is unacceptable. I recommend immediate termination. He was clearly too angry to remember basic workplace etiquette. I just watched him completely unconcerned. With my mom here, what did I have to fear? Sophia raised an eyebrow, glancing at him with disinterest. "Mr. Vance, are you aware of the consequences for storming into the CEO's office and shouting?" Tyler flinched, his bravado deflating. I was acting in the company's best interest." "The company's best interest?" Sophia gave a cold, humorless laugh. "It seems to me you're acting out of your own pathetic jealousy." She stood and walked toward him. "Ethan is my assistant. His actions are my concern, not yours. Instead of wasting time on petty gossip, perhaps you should focus on your own performance. I happen to know that the Southbridge project you're managing is already 10% behind schedule. If you can't get it back on track by the end of this month." She paused, letting each word hang in the air like an icicle. "Then you can pack your things and get out." The color drained from Tyler's face. His lips trembled, but he couldn't form a single word. He turned and fled the office in disgrace. Watching him run, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. My mom was a total badass. I turned to her, my eyes shining with admiration. Mom, you're my hero. Sophia rubbed her temples, looking exhausted. Get out. I need some quiet. And close the door on your way. You got it. I practically skipped out of the office, closing the door gently behind me. As it clicked shut, I thought I heard a strange sound from inside, a mix between a sigh and a choked laugh. She was definitely touched by my devotion. It had to be that. After Tyler's public humiliation, he kept his distance, and the office gossip about me and Sophia died down. People seemed to accept that I was now the CEO's favorite, even if they couldn't figure out why. I, in turn, continued my duties as the devoted son. The loving breakfast never stopped. Millet porridge, oatmeal, 5-grain congee. I kept things interesting. There was always a fresh cup of hot tea on Sophia's desk. If she frowned, I was there with eye drops. If she coughed, I produced a throat lozenge. My filial piety was becoming legendary. Sophia's attitude toward me was evolving. She was no longer openly resistant. The ice was still there, but she accepted everything I brought her. Once, when I told a terrible pun, I could have sworn her lips twitched. Our mother-son relationship was progressing beautifully. That night was the company's annual gala, held in the ballroom of a 5-star hotel downtown. It was the perfect stage for corporate maneuvering, toasting, networking, and shameless brown-nosing. As the woman of the hour, Sophia was the primary target. She held a glass of red wine, gracefully fending off wave after wave of managers and partners. She looked as cool as ever, but I could tell she was growing tired. As her loyal assistant, I stuck to her side like a bodyguard. That's when Tyler Vance, who had been laying low for weeks, reappeared. He was holding 2 large glasses, both filled to the brim with whiskey, a malicious grin on his face. Ms. Blackwood, it's been a while. You've been working so hard. He pushed one of the glasses toward her. This is to you, to thank you for all your guidance. I'll drink first. With that, he tipped his head back and downed the entire glass of whiskey in one go. He slammed the empty glass down to show it was empty. Your turn, Ms. Blackwood, he said, pushing the other glass closer to her. The crowd could sense the tension. This wasn't a toast, it was a challenge. Sophia's brow furrowed. She barely drank, let alone a glass of straight whiskey. I don't drink whiskey, mister. Vance, she said coldly. Oh, come on. That's no fun, Tyler pressed, refusing to back down. I drank mina. It's bad form if you don't at least take a sip. If you refuse, it means you're looking down on me. He was trapping her. In front of everyone, if Sophia refused, she'd look like a rigid, ungracious leader. The onlookers just watched, no one daring to intervene. I looked at Tyler's smug face, then at Sophia's predicament, and a fire ignited in my gut. Who did he think he was? Bullying my mom, right in front of me? Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I stepped forward, planting myself between them, and snatched the glass of whiskey from Tyler's hand. Mr. Vance, is it? I said, narrowing my eyes. Ms. Blackwood isn't feeling well. She can't drink. Tyler sneered. And who are you to say anything? This is between executives. Who am I? I took a deep breath, filled my lungs, and then for the entire ballroom to hear, I roared. I'm her son. I'll drink for my MOM. This one's on me. My voice cut through the chatter like a thunderclap. The entire ballroom fell silent. Forks stopped halfway to mouths. Glasses paused at lips. Conversations died in mid-sentence. Time itself seemed to freeze. Hundreds of pairs of eyes, like spotlights, locked onto me. Their expressions were a cocktail of shock, confusion, disbelief, and the kind of pity you reserve for someone having a very public breakdown. Behind me, Sophia went rigid. I could feel her gaze burning a hole through my back. Across from me, Tyler was completely dumbfounded. The empty glass slipped from his fingers and clattered to the floor. His jaw hung open, his face a priceless portrait of utter bafflement. I ignored them all. I knew what I had to do. I had to defend my mother's honor. I raised the glass high, a grand gesture to Tyler and everyone else. From now on, I drink my mom's drinks. I threw my head back and poured the fiery liquid down my throat. It burned a path from my mouth to my stomach, and my eyes watered, but I held it together. I stood tall, slammed the empty glass down on the table, and fixed Tyler with a glare. Now, are you going to get lost? The ballroom remained dead silent. After what felt like an eternity, a low murmur rippled through the crowd. Did, did I hear him right? What did he just call Miss Blackwood? Mom, is he insane? Or am I? Is this some kind of next-level way to ask someone out? Because damn, that's intense. I could feel Sophia trembling behind me. She must be so moved. I turned around, ready to receive my mother's proud and grateful gaze. What I saw instead was a face as black as thunder. Her eyes weren't filled with gratitude. They were filled with two raging infernos that looked ready to incinerate me on the spot. She looked at me, her lips moving, but no sound came out. Then, without a single word, she spun on her 4-inch heels and strode out of the ballroom, her back ramrod straight, radiating an aura of pure, unadulterated fury. I just stood there, stunned. Wait, what just happened? That's not how this was supposed to go. Wasn't she supposed to be moved to tears, hug me, and say, "My wonderful son, I'm so proud of you"? Why did she just storm out? And then, it hit me. Of course. I was an idiot. She was angry because I had revealed our secret mother-son relationship in public. I promised her I would be discreet at the office. How could I have forgotten in a moment of passion? Watching her disappear, I was filled with regret. I had just ruined our relationship. I shot one last glare at the still frozen Tyler, then sprinted out of the ballroom after Sophia. I had to explain. I couldn't let her misunderstand me. I finally caught up to her in the underground parking garage. She was standing by her Maserati, not getting in, just staring into the distance with her arms crossed. The wind whipped her hair around her face, and the dim light cast a long, lonely shadow on the concrete. A pang of guilt shot through me. I had really upset her. I approached cautiously, stopping about 10 feet behind her. "Mom, Ms. Blackwood," I said softly. She didn't turn. "Ms. Blackwood, I'm so sorry. I messed up," I said, looking at my shoes like a guilty child. I was just so angry I wasn't thinking. I shouldn't have said what I said in front of everyone. I broke our promise. I swear it will never happen again. Please don't be mad at me. Please. My voice was practically begging. She still didn't move. The garage was silent except for the sound of my own frantic heartbeat. I got desperate and took another couple of steps closer. "Say something, please. If you're angry, yell at me. Hit me. Just don't give me the silent treatment. It's killing me." Finally, she moved. She turned slowly to face me. The rage was gone from her face, replaced by a complex expression I couldn't read. It looked like a mixture of exasperation, exhaustion, and, was that a flicker of amusement? "Ethan," her voice was hoarse. "What exactly is going on inside your head?" I didn't know what to say. I couldn't very well tell her that my head was filled with plans on how to be the perfect stepson. Could I? "Do you genuinely believe?" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "That I am your mom?" I nodded furiously. Wasn't she? The picture was right there. Sophia looked at my earnest face, closed her eyes, and pressed her fingers to her forehead, letting out a long, heavy sigh. It was a sigh that contained a universe of meaning I couldn't comprehend. "Get in the car," she said, opening her eyes. "What?" "I'm taking you home." "Oh no, you don't have to do that, Ms. Blackwood. I can get an Uber." The last thing I wanted was for my mom to have to drive her son home. I said, "Get in the car. Don't argue." Her tone was back to its usual commanding chill. I didn't dare protest again. I meekly got into the passenger seat. The car was quiet, filled with that same cool, expensive scent from her office. Sophia started the engine and pulled out of the garage. "Where do you live?" she asked. I gave her my address. She didn't say another word, focusing on the road. The city lights blurred past the window, and the silence in the car was thick with awkwardness. I racked my brain for something to say. "So, Ms. Blackwood, how's my dad doing lately?" I asked, testing the waters. It was the first time I had ever brought him up to her directly. I saw her hands tighten on the steering wheel. She was silent for a few seconds before answering. How would I know? Her tone was flat. Oh, she was good, playing it cool, pretending they were strangers when they were practically family. I saw right through it. "Oh, right," I said with a weak laugh. "Just curious. He's just a retired old guy, you know. Not much going on besides his line dancing and chess games." I was deliberately downplaying his appeal, hoping she might jump to his defense. Say something like, "He's more than that. He's a wonderful man." All I got was a quiet I was a little disappointed. Their secret relationship was more secure than Fort Knox. An idea sparked. You know, Ms. Blackwood, my dad's been pretty popular with the ladies recently. I said, try to sound casual. Oh, this time, she actually glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Yeah, I said, embellishing freely. This one woman from his community, Brenda, she's always bringing him homemade casseroles. And the lady downstairs, Mrs. Gable, knitted him a scarf. He's become the hot commodity of the senior center. A real silver fox. As I spoke, I watched her closely. I saw it again. That little twitch at the corner of her mouth. Her knuckles were white on the steering wheel. And was it my imagination, or had the car sped up? It was working. She was jealous. I decided to push it further. But he doesn't seem interested in any of them, I said, changing my tone. I asked him the other day if there was someone special in his life, and you know what he said? What did he say? She asked, her voice tight. He said, I began, doing my best impression of my dad's dramatic flair. Son, my heart was stolen long ago by an angel. I scoffed. Can you believe it? An angel. At his age. The car fell into a strange, tense silence. After a long moment, Sophia spoke, her voice strained, as if she were squeezing the words out. He really said that. Word for word. I proclaimed. He also said this angel was beautiful and cold, like the moon in the night sky, someone he could only dream of. Okay, that last part was my own invention. But art must embellish life, right? It was all for my dad's happiness. Suddenly, the car screeched to a halt on the side of the road. I lurched forward, my seatbelt catching me just before my head hit the dashboard. What? What's wrong, Ms. Blackwood? I asked, my heart pounding. She didn't answer. She just killed the engine, turned in her seat, and stared at me, her eyes boring into me in the dim light. Ethan, imaginative. Give me your father's phone number. Her voice was quiet, but it held an undeniable authority. My heart soared. The fish had taken the bait. She was going to make her move, to stake her claim. I struggled to keep my cool. Why do you want my dad's number, Miss Blackwood? There's something I need to confirm with him. Oh, I drew the word out, a knowing smirk on my face. All right, since you're my boss, I'll give it to you. But don't tell him you got it from me. He might kill me. I typed his number into her phone. The second she had it, she didn't even look at me. She just put the phone to her ear. It rang for a long time before someone picked up. She didn't have it on speaker, but I was close enough to hear my dad's grumpy voice. Hello, who is this? It's the middle of the night. Sophia took a deep breath, and in a voice I had never heard before, a voice that trembled with nerves, she said, Mr. Hayes, hello. This is Sophia Blackwood. There was a pause on the other end. Sophia who? Never heard of her. Wrong number. And with a sharp click, he hung up. Me, Sophia. The awkwardness in the car was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I saw a flash of shock and hurt on Sophia's beautiful face. I silently cursed my dad. That old fool. Still playing hard to get. The angel herself calls you, and you pull this stunt? Ms. Blackwood, don't worry about it, I said quickly. His hearing isn't great, and he gets really grumpy when he's woken up. Sophia didn't say a word. She just redialed. This time, it rang and rang before being sent to voicemail. Her face darkened. She tried a third time. This time, it went straight to a robotic voice. The number you have dialed is not available at this time. He blocked her. The temperature in the car dropped to absolute zero. Sophia sat there, clutching her phone, a perfect statue of ice. I barely dared to breathe. After a long time, she put the phone down and started the car again. We drove the rest of the way in silence. When we pulled up in front of my apartment building, she finally spoke. Ethan, yes. The company gala is at the end of this month, correct? Yes, it is. Will your father be there? My mind raced. This was it. He probably will, I said, feigning uncertainty. The invitation said we could bring a guest, so I thought I'd bring him along to see the sights. In reality, I had to practically beg him to agree to come. Good. Sophia nodded, a strange glint in her eye. Understand. You can go up now. Okay. Ms. Blackwood, drive safe. I got out of the car and watched her Maserati disappear into the night. I let out a long breath. The plan had hit a few bumps, but it was working. She was clearly invested in my dad, and she was asking about the gala. She was definitely planning a big surprise for him. A public declaration of love? A wedding announcement? I was so excited I hummed all the way up to my apartment. The next couple of weeks were quiet. Tyler was buried under his project and left me alone. My relationship with Sophia entered a strange new phase. She was still cool, but she would occasionally ask me questions about my dad's youthful antics or his favorite foods. I answered every question truthfully, with a healthy dose of artistic license. I felt like I was weaving a tapestry of love for my father. I was such a good son. Finally, the night of the gala arrived. The company had rented out the grand ballroom of the city's most luxurious hotel. I had bought new suits for both me and my dad. He stood in front of the mirror, preening. "Son, don't I look devastatingly handsome?" "Yes, Dad, you look great," I said, preoccupied. Tonight, he had to be on his A game. I couldn't let him disappoint my future stepmom. At the hotel, I led my dad through the crowd, searching for Sophia. It didn't take long to find her. She was wearing a stunning black evening gown, her hair swept up, her makeup flawless. She was a black swan, radiating elegance and drawing every eye in the room, including my father's. His jaw went slack. "Son, who is that?" "Angel," he stammered. I scoffed internally. Still with the act, I clapped him on the shoulder. "Dad, you can drop the act. I know everything. That's Sophia Blackwood, the CEO of my company. And she's the angel who stole your heart, right?" My dad's face turned beet red. "What? What are you talking about?" he sputtered, avoiding my gaze. "It's okay, Dad," I said, giving him a knowing look. "I support you. Go on, go get your girl. Tonight's the night." I started pushing him in her direction. Sophia had seen us and was now walking toward us, a glass of champagne in her hand. Her gaze went right past me and settled on my dad. Her expression was one I'd never seen before, nervous, excited, and something else. My dad froze, looking like a deer in headlights. The old man was choking at the finish line. I had to do something. Looking at the approaching Sophia and my terrified father, a bold plan formed in my mind. Tonight, on this grand stage, I would give their love story the happy ending it deserved. I took a deep breath, my eyes filled with determination. "Dad, Mom, don't be afraid. Your son is here to give you that final push into happiness." The climax of the evening was the CEO's speech. When the host announced Ms. Sophia Blackwood, the ballroom erupted in applause. She glided onto the stage, a vision under the spotlights. I looked at her, then at my dad beside me, who was nervously sweating into his new suit. The time was now. Just as Sophia reached for the microphone, I shot up from my seat and sprinted toward the stage. The crowd gasped. The host stared at me, bewildered. "Sir, you can't." I ignored him. I snatched the microphone from Sophia's hand, then jumped off the stage, grabbed my stunned father, and dragged him up there with me. Now the three of us stood there, me, my dad, and a very pale Sophia Blackwood. I took my dad's hand and Sophia's hand and forced them together. My dad was shaking. Sophia's hand was ice cold. I cleared my throat, raised the microphone, and in the loudest, most heartfelt voice I could manage, I declared, "Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, tonight on this wonderful evening, I have a joyous announcement to make." The crowd was silent, hanging on my every word. I looked lovingly at the happy couple beside me and bellowed, "My father, Robert Hayes, and my mother, Sophia Blackwood. After overcoming countless obstacles and defying societal norms, they are finally getting together. As their son, I give this union my blessing. Let's all give them a round of applause." I started clapping enthusiastically. No one joined me. The entire ballroom was plunged into a dead, suffocating silence. Everyone's faces were frozen in a bizarre tableau of shock, confusion, and utter absurdity. They were all staring at me like I had just escaped from a mental institution. Beside me, Sophia's face was no longer pale. It was a ghastly, ashen color. She was shaking violently, not from emotion, but from pure, unadulterated rage. I could feel her grip on my dad's hand tightening, threatening to crush his bones. And my poor father, he looked like he had been turned to stone. His mouth was open, his eyes were wide, and his expression screamed, "Son, what in the hell are you doing? Es son. What? What is wrong with you?" He finally managed to choke out. I shot him a look. "Dad, stop acting," I whispered. "It's time to come clean." I turned back to the microphone. "I know this may seem sudden, But love is a powerful, unpredictable force. My father may be a simple, retired man, and my mother may be a multimillionaire CEO, but their love is pure, is grand. It transcends age and class. Dad, Mom, the secret's out, and your son supports you. As the last word left my mouth, there was a loud crack. Sophia had shattered her crystal champagne flute in her bare hand. Shards of glass and red champagne dripped from her fingers, but she didn't seem to notice the pain. She just slowly, so slowly, turned her head to face me. The eyes that I once thought were cold, then complex, now held only one emotion, pure homicidal rage. Ethan, Hayes. Her voice was a low growl, each syllable crawling up from the depths of hell. Down in the audience, someone finally broke. A snort of laughter, then another, and then the dam broke, and the room was filled with a tidal wave of hysterical cackling. Ha 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 ha. Oh my God, I'm dying. Did you hear what he said? His dad and his mom. This guy's a legend. He roped his own father into his scheme to get the CEO's attention. Employee of the Year. No, Son of the Year. Tyler Vance was laughing the hardest, slapping his knee and wiping tears from his eyes. Listening to the laughter, seeing everyone's reactions, my brain, for the first time, began to short-circuit. Something was wrong. This wasn't the script. Why was everyone laughing? Why did my dad look terrified? And why did Sophia look like she was about to commit a felony? Could I have been wrong? Just as my entire worldview was about to collapse, Sophia spoke. Her voice was terrifyingly calm. Ethan. She dropped my dad's hand, shook mine off, and took a step forward, standing alone in the center of the stage. She picked up a napkin and began to methodically wipe the blood and champagne from her hand. Come here, she beckoned. Like a puppet, I stiffly walked toward her. Say what you just said one more time, she ordered, her eyes locked on mine. I looked into those burning eyes, and my legs turned to jelly. I couldn't speak. You said, I'm your mom, correct? I nodded dumbly. And you said, she pointed to my petrified father, is your dad, correct? I nodded again. So you believe that he and I are in a relationship, correct? This time, I couldn't bring myself to nod. Ethan. Sophia suddenly smiled. It was the first time I had ever seen her smile. It was radiant, beautiful, and utterly terrifying. Look closely, she said, gesturing to my dad. Now picture the photograph in my office. You tell me, besides a passing resemblance, what's the difference? I froze. Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. My dad, Robert Hayes, has a small, faint scar on his left eyebrow from falling out of a tree as a kid. And the man in the photo, in her office, he didn't have a scar. And now that I thought about it, the man in the photo had a deep, confident look in his eyes, the look of a man in charge. My dad's brand of handsome was more. Community line dancing champion handsome. The charisma was completely different. A mushroom cloud of realization exploded in my brain. Could it be? Let me spell it out for you, Ethan. Sophia's voice was the final judgment. The man in the photograph in my office is my father. His name is Richard Blackwood. And the man behind you, she pointed to my dad again, is your father, Robert Hayes. They are twin brothers, separated at birth, who haven't seen each other in over 40 years. Boom. My world imploded. Twin brothers. My dad was Sophia's uncle, which meant I was her first cousin. So for the past few months, I had been bringing breakfast to, turning up the heat for, and taking whiskey shots for my own cousin, while calling her mom. In an instant, every mortifying, cringeworthy, socially catastrophic moment of the last few months flooded my brain. The world went dark, my knees buckled, and I nearly collapsed right there on the stage. No, it can't be, I whispered. It can't. Sophia sneered, pulling a folded document from her clutch and throwing it in my face. This is a DNA report I had done 2 months ago. I've known who you were this whole time, Ethan. I was trying to find the right moment to reunite them. I thought you were smart, but it turns out you're just an idiot. An idiot whose brain is so full of the CEO and my dad fanfiction that there's no room for anything else. Her last words were practically a roar. The laughter in the crowd had died, replaced by a stunned silence. Everyone was shell-shocked by the plot twist. Then, the silence was shattered by an even more insane, deafening wave of laughter. I was finished, socially executed. My reputation wasn't just dead. It had been cremated and its ashes scattered in the ocean. I slowly turned to look at my dad. He was looking back at me with an expression of profound pity. Then his gaze shifted to Sophia, to the face that was so similar to his own, and his eyes instantly filled with tears. You're my brother's little girl? My dad's voice trembled. Sophia looked at my dad, and the icy rage on her face finally melted away, replaced by her own tear-filled eyes. Uncle Robert, she choked out. The next thing I knew, the two long-lost family members were embracing in the middle of the stage, sobbing in front of hundreds of people. A beautiful family reunion was unfolding, and I, the director and star clown of this whole drama, was standing alone in the corner, being bathed in the pitying, mocking, incredulous stares of the entire company. I wished the stage would open up and swallow me whole. I don't remember much after that. I remember that I wasn't fired. In fact, I was promoted from personal assistant to the chief family liaison officer of a one-man department. My main job was to accompany my dad and my newly discovered uncle, Richard Blackwood, on their fishing trips and card games. Officially, my role was to promote family harmony, and my dear cousin Sophia developed a new hobby. Every day after work, she calls me in her office, pulls up the recording of the company gala, and plays it. Every time the video gets to the part where I dramatically yell, "I give this union my blessing," she pauses it, takes a sip of her tea, and looks at me with a deadpan expression. "How about it, cousin?" she'll ask, her voice dripping with amusement. "Call me Mom one more time." I'm serious. I made a mistake. I should never have taken this job. If I hadn't, I never would have seen that picture, and none of this would have ever happened. So now I have just one question. When is the world scheduled to end? I need to know. Urgently. End.